Well, there we go. My timer is definitely a little bit behind today, but there's other crazy reasons behind that as well. It is a gift that runs in PowerPoint, so I'm not going to make excuses for it. Today, I actually have Phil on as a co-producer with me, so we can test the theory and see if you can have audio there and say hi to everyone, Phil.
Hi, everybody.
I've just decided that Phil just is such a backup man for me, and he's such a good friend to join these webinars. I don't know why he does. There's no motivation, real motivation, but anyway, it's so nice to have a friend out there in the dark. And I said to Phil that whenever he wants to, he's always welcome to join. And he's just so brilliant at the Q&As as well. So I thought that whenever you want to join, Phil, that's an open invitation. You don't have to. I'll never expect it. But whenever you want to join, you're welcome to join me and to have some fun with us. Phil, can you see the Q&As? So I've already, Phil is replying to this in the post. Okay, Phil's already on top of it. I had someone, so Oz asked if the webinar will be recorded. This absolutely does get recorded, and I absolutely push it out. I won't be doing a presentation today, though, so there won't be slides, but I will share the recording. I kind of like that question. That's interesting. So asking whether there is a recording, because that completely depends on how many notes is going to be made versus how much we're going to just sit at the screen and enjoy whatever is happening. So I will absolutely be sharing the recording again. So thanks for that, Phil. This means I can just park that. And then, yeah, we're going to get started. So it's so nice to have Phil on the call with me as well. Phil, I don't know if you wanted to just introduce yourself to everyone. Where are you from? I don't know if we're on the same time zones at the moment.
Yeah, we're on the same time zone. I'm Philip Worrell. I'm currently based up near Geneva in Switzerland right now, though I'm originally from London. So, and I'm a bit of a learning addict more than anything else. Trying to find out anything and everything that I can about this whole crazy Microsoft 365 stuff, and just helping people along in the community as best I possibly can.
That's wonderful, and it's really great to have you here. And I do apologize. I normally introduce you as to Phil from UK. Okay, I know that you're not from the UK, but I still make the mistake to think that you're based in the UK. But there was also some evil method to my madness with asking Phil to join today. Firstly, we did a test to see if we could add external accounts as co-presenters without having a team that person belongs to. So we now confirmed that works successfully, which I think is great on Teams live events. And then I also just wanted to prove to everyone that Phil's not a robot. Okay, I have suspected for years that Phil is a robot because he's always awake, he doesn't sleep, he's always ready to respond or to help on social media. And now I think we've proved, because that does not sound like a robot to me. So thanks for being here, Phil. And that then brings us to today. So let me kill this this presentation. I'm not even going to joke about this. I did not prepare nothing. Okay, there's not a lot of webinars that I prepare for, and that's definitely something that I changed years ago. I don't even practice for big conferences anymore. My head doesn't work like that. So but I suppose it depends on what it is that you are going to be presenting. Okay, so today's focus is going to be training portal, and I only realized afterwards that could be slightly confusing as to what angle I'm taking on this, and I think I might be dealing with both sides for it. So I am going to be looking at the training portal for your trainers. So that's internal forum, that support for the trainers that deliver training, but then we can definitely look at the external facing side as well for the end users of how we can put resources and things together for them. This is an absolutely open forum. This is open Q&A. Throw questions at us. It's going to be very comfortable. At any time, ask a question. It's great because Phil can see the Q&A and the new questions now as well. So he can publish questions and answer them if there is a quick answer to it. If there isn't, then I can get to it later as well. And Phil can definitely jump in on cool things as well as if we look at these. So I just want to quickly check something cool. Thanks for that, Phil. So, so the first thing that I do want to focus on is just the tools that are available. Okay, so before we look at how we add these tools into the right places, because it could be that we link to some of the tools from your intranet, It could be that we build something inside of Microsoft Teams, and in Microsoft Teams, I'm more focused on that internal group of people that are responsible for delivering the training, of course. And again, I always love the feedback. So if you have feedback on cool things that you've done in your companies or little tips and tricks, then please share it with us. And we can all learn from the experience as well. So I think the first thing that I do want to note that is a very cool winner is the Microsoft 365 learning pathways. So I just want to go. So the learning pathways, and I'll just throw these URLs in the Q&A as well as I go to a specific site. So the 365 learning pathways was launched quite a while ago already, just under a year ago. And this is a specific template in SharePoint that you can deploy. And the nice thing is that Microsoft keeps the basic content up to date. So something I stopped using quite a long time ago, stopped doing, is to kind of recreate all the training content myself. You'd think that doesn't make sense because I do so many videos online, but I mean internally to go and do videos for how to upload documents to SharePoint is not gonna like wing it, okay? Because the features change too often. So I prefer to do more unique videos, but for the basic functionality, I think it's pretty cool that we can link to the Microsoft content. So if we look at this learning pathway site, the physical training paths and things is updated by Microsoft, but the site is actually deployed to your tenant. So you can see that it says there, add to your tenant. You have to be a global admin though, okay? So it's not, if you're not a global admin, you're not gonna be able to deploy this. So just get IT on board and they can actually deploy the template for you. And it's really easy, it takes a couple of seconds. I did mention this last week, but I had a bit of a boo-boo. I'm still laughing about it for last week. I see that Vesa that mentioned me on their PNP blog, and I was like, I'm sure I'm in trouble because of that blog I did because of the links web part. But with these templates that gets deployed, you also sometimes get cool little new, I'm going to say third party, it's not necessarily third party, but other web parts that comes with it. So just take note of that. But if you go to the SharePoint lookbook, and again, I'm going to just throw that URL in there. If you go to the SharePoint lookbook, it's got different examples of sites, and it's such a great place for me to go to get inspired and look at cool things I can do on my intranets or my websites and things, my internal websites. But on this specific one, and I've got to just remember where that learning pathway sits. So let's quickly just remember. Can you remember which one it sits under? I can't now for the life of me very quickly remember. Maybe it's news. Where does the 365 sit? How did I miss this now?
It's under solutions.
Oh, there we go at the top. I forgot about the tab. Thank you. So there's the training, learning, and adoption. What is this? This is new. I haven't seen that. So there's training, learning, and adoption. And just to go back, because that's what I missed now at the top. At the top, you'll see it's got filters, organization, department, team, community, solutions. And under solutions, you'll see training, learning, and adoption. So this is that learning pathway site that can be deployed. So you can see there it says add to your tenant. You're going to put the details in. Get your global admin to come and help you with this if you're not a global admin. And then if you look at that site, it does give you a bit of the features used, etc., but I'll show you what the site looks like now, and it really takes a couple of minutes to deploy. So what the site template's going to do, it's going to deploy to your internal tenant. So if I go to my internal tenant, let's just find it. It's one of these crazy amount of tabs I've got open. So this is my personal inside of the good stuff. It's a portal, a site collection now inside of the good stuff. So my employees don't have to navigate outside of my websites, etc. And I can easily link this to my intranet. And it's kind of set up in a specific way, but you can modify it even further. You can make changes to it like you would with normal SharePoint. You can change the images used. You can change the links you want to add on the page. Maybe you've got a cool Yammer group that you want to use with this as well. So let's just quickly take a look at that. So you can see that I can still modify the page. I can change this layout. So maybe I want to bring in 2 columns like that, and I'll just move this news up and then that, for example, means I can maybe bring my Yammer in where people give feedback on training or things they want to get trained on, or maybe you want to add a Microsoft form to the page. So you've got a Microsoft form where people actually ask for training that they want to get and stuff. So you can see that even though that this is a template that I've deployed, I can still make changes to the site and to the look and feel of the site, if that makes sense. So this is my site. And if I look at the content that's on here, just to give you some like a basic idea. So there you can see I've added my Yammer group to the page. If I go to Microsoft 365 training, so let's take a look and see what we see there. This says, oh, there's a couple of first days. So Microsoft has kind of logically gone and grouped this into little learning paths, if that makes sense, like little steps. Get started with this and then do that and then do that, recommended, etc. And then it's also got the products here. So the interesting thing is, if I had to go to Microsoft Teams, so you'll see there that it's got standard content. So Teams Quick Start, work with posts and messages, etc. And if I then go to Teams Quick Start, it actually opens up the content. There might be a little video that people can watch. It's got some text there, etc. Now, if I want to find, so here we can go. This is Microsoft 365 training. If I open the Teams training, and this is on the external site, okay, this is external, you'll see that this content that you see there is the same as what you have on the site, and I think that's pretty cool. So you don't expect users to go and navigate to the specific site externally, because that can be very confusing as well. There's so much resources that a person doesn't quite know where to get everything. But if you deploy that template, and I've got so many tabs open, and that might also affect my bandwidth. So Phil, just at any time shout out if I start sounding like what was Nemo's friend that used to forget everything? Dory? Is it Dory? I think it's Dory. So if I start sounding like an underwater fish, just shout out to me. So that's a training that you see there is actually internal. This is internal to my website. But if this video changes, or if Microsoft wants to add something extra, they maintain that. So I'm pretty sure Phil can tell you how that's injected in the site. I don't know how it is, but there is a technical way of how they're actually injecting the content into your site. And I think this is pretty freaking nifty. Okay, so if I go back, I just want to look at this recommended as well. So there's a couple of recommended quick starts. Start with your OneDrive sharing with a little bit of Yammer, sites and content with SharePoint. So I think that's pretty cool. And let me tell you what, this is going to save a lot of time. I mean, I used to build these training paths in companies, and I mean, it definitely wasn't that creative back then, okay? I definitely don't think it was that creative. We had to kind of like suck a lot of stuff out of our thumbs and kind of figure things out. And I mean, how easy is this to just make this so valuable for us? So the learning pathways, man, love it. I just want to see. I'm not on this all the time, okay? So you'll see that they've even brought questions, training events, calendar, and things in. But it's absolutely up to you to further. Oh, that's cool. Accessibility. Modern workplace scenarios. How cool is that? I definitely don't play in this every day, and if you don't go and check out the stuff, you won't keep on learning. So there's a modern workplace like kind of pathway as well now. But I really think that this is an incredible tool. Is there anyone on this call who's actually like used the learning pathways and got feedback on it? Hilda, she's asking a question. I bet you Phil might be is replying to the post. So Phil's going to reply to it, but Hilda is asking is if you search on content or the learning pathways in SharePoint, search the site within your tenant. So let me just go back. I see Phil is. Let me get it. Phil, I'm replying on another comment now, but anyway. Okay, so let's test the theory. If I searched in the site, create channel, I have no idea, in team. I also would like to see what Phil is replying to this. It still stays in my website, but let's see how the search results work. No, it doesn't look very, I just want to open that and see what that does. I'm questioning it, but it's Let's discuss that again. I'd like to see, we can definitely keep that as a discussion topic. So the search, not the same as on a website, to very, very quickly search. And I do think, and I'm not, this is me making excuses now, and I don't mean it that way, but I do think that end users, when it comes to pathways, kind of deal with things a little bit different. They kind of follow steps to get to a certain point. But you are right, Hilda, it's definitely something that we want to get people to search more. So I'll have to go test that a bit, and I'd love to see what, so yes, you get information about the pages, not the videos. So I think it's a kind of a bit of the one and less of the other one, Hilda. I think it's worth to test that and maybe give feedback. It actually would be nice to bring your browser search in here. How cool would that be? Okay, so valid question is if I search here, does it work the same as whether I'm on Google or Bing or something in the search results? And it definitely doesn't, but it does bring some content back. I think it depends on how you are searching, because also remember, I don't think the content's locally hosted. So let me quickly just, I want to see if I can see that in the article, okay? Blah, blah, blah. Abilities, 3 easy steps, feedback, adoption. There was another article, pathway setup options, explore, standalone. I just want to see if it tells me how that content's injected, because there was a article I read somewhere that explained. No, I'm not going to be able to answer that immediately. Well, let's get back to that. But because it's not physically created on your pages, I think the search will definitely work different, because the content doesn't lie physically as pages. And just to prove that, and remember, I'm kind of learning with you, I'm also figuring things out. I just want to quickly look at the site contents on the site. So this learning pathways, if I go to the site content, now let's just quickly look at recommended playlists. So let's quickly see what recommended playlist looks like. Now that's also, again, it's a specific components, and it actually goes to a specific page. But what's important to take note of here, and Hilda specifically, is if I go home, if I go to the Microsoft 365 Learning Pathways, I don't know if you can see my URL at the top, but at the moment I'm on O365 Learn. I'm on the site. I'm going to navigate to recommended playlists now, and you see it's going to open a page called recommended playlists, okay, that has this content on it. So in a SharePoint environment, you would think, okay, that's a page, and on the page you've got web parts with content in it, and that would be text or images. But check this out now, recommended playlist ASPX. See what happens when I go to another part of the content. The page stays exactly the same. So that kind of actually proves my point about the search. It's not physically hosted on pages, it's just surfacing the content from the specific page. So it even keeps the page name as the same. It's refreshing and pointing to the correct content. So nope, I don't think that search will work the same. That's my final opinion on it. So learning pathways, as I said, there's a specific little recommended playlist. There's get started, of course, big focus on getting started with Microsoft Teams. So let's take a look at that quickly. That's got those standard ones that you normally see external on the external sites as well. And then let's look at the ask questions. So yeah, they're kind of just putting placeholders in place for you, but this could be a, hey, join the Yammer community, or where's the training happening, or where's the FAQ. So this is just helping you kind of putting placeholders in place for that. And start with 6 simple steps. So that kind of is your intro to Microsoft. And then the next step obviously would be looking at your OneDrive and your SharePoint and stuff. And we looked at that in the background as well. So the content definitely works different to your normal SharePoint sites. But I still think it's a pretty cool thing to be able to tap into, because people don't have to navigate to external websites for it. So I think that could be pretty cool. On this note, so something I used to do, I'm just checking the any questions as well. I'm just reading some of the questions as well. Cool. So something I used to do, which is slightly different to building training portals and a lot more work, okay, but that's something to consider. So you could just point to this Microsoft's training content, of course you can. But in the past, so I'm talking about the previous years, I used to build out a portal. That's before Microsoft 365 Learning Pathways was launched, okay? I used to build out a portal, so a SharePoint site collection, which in the site collection, I would have a page for every product that we use. So I called this my digital strategy. So instead of writing a document that says, this is how we deal with OneDrive, this is how we deal with blah, 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 I went and I built a page for each product that's used in the company. And then on that page, I would list, and I'm going to share this just with you. I have done this in a blog somewhere as well, so if you want more information on this. But this was very valuable for me, because this for me was similar to a digital strategy. It also was your, what is that thing that IT always does? It's not a business case, but you know that thing where IT kind of documents how this product should be used. Oh, the business governance, the business and the IT governance, okay? So those boring documents never gets read, okay? Let's just face it, it doesn't. I don't care how beautiful it is, but that 40-page business governance document never ever gets read in a company. It adds zero value. So I said, instead of doing a document, why don't you do a SharePoint site collection? So on that SharePoint site collection, I designed a template page which has specific areas on it, and then I would copy that for each product. And then I would have an owner for each of those products. So I think this depends on how big your company is, okay? But then I would have an owner for each product, and it doesn't necessarily have to be an IT person. It could be a person from the business side. So Teams would have an owner, OneDrive would have an owner, because remember, this becomes your digital strategy and the tools. So if I look at this page, you'll see that I kind of broke it up, and this is a standard SharePoint page, okay? So it's a standard SharePoint site collection that I built, and this was pre-365 Learning Pathways. And on this page, I would look at a specific product, and I would say, what is the latest announcement? So maybe this gets updated once a week or once a month. I could have buttons here to other products that are very, very important that's similar to this, or maybe Planner, or you know, that whole did you also, or are you also interested in this? Then I bring product detail in, and this is kind of Microsoft's description, and I could have a stream video, maybe how do we use Teams in the company. Also, to make it relevant to the company is how do we use it in our company. So we use it for departments and for projects, etc. So this is relevant to the company. Then I normally bring in a, so if people aren't using Teams yet, what is that little carrot that makes them think like, hey, this can really save me a lot of time. I normally address the business in your pocket as well. Then I've got how do I apply for it? How do I get it? So this, of course, remember, it's a template. So this could be different for different products. But how do I get it? How do I request it? That's if everyone can't build Teams, or maybe they don't have the license. Or if there's a provisioning process, there's the provisioning process. Then, so let's look at the top again. Firstly, I look at what's new. Then I look at what is the product. Okay, so this kind of introduces the product. Then I look at training. So this could be quick links that goes to training. This could also link through to your M365 Learning Pathways site. This could also have the stream channel on it, maybe if you have internal videos. And like I said, I can point to all of those. So what I used to do, and I just want to find that site again. What I used to do is that I used to build links in to these areas on the external side. So I would then go and find the Teams Quick Start and the work with posts. So I get all those links, and then I would add them as links on my page internally. So this is before Microsoft 365 Learning Pathways. And then if people have to request training, or how does it work, you could add the link there to the form. So I've got a section that just deals with training. Then I've got social media and forums. So here I can add the Twitter feed for Microsoft Teams. I can add the link to Tech Community in the blog. I can add, maybe you've got a Yammer group, which is specific to Teams. So then I deal with the social side of the product. And then support and feedback. So this could be for physical people, or the help desk, or how to support work, or who's the forums, or whatever. So just how to support work. And then I go into business and IT governance. So you'll see that from the top of this page, it gets more and more complex to the bottom of the page. So firstly, as an end user, what's the latest releases? What's cool? What is this product? Where do I get training? Is there social media stuff that I can follow and look out for? How does support work? And then I start delving into business and IT governance. So I could have a FAQ list as well. And this is where you add things like who gets a team? What happens if a team's deleted? How do we have a team restored or something? These are the things that used to be in the business and IT governance documents that no one read, okay? For me, there's no risk if end users can see their SLAs on products, because I think we should have more transparency. So to have configuration and administration stuff there as well, like what are the rules about creating teams, you know, or what are the minimum amount of owners you must have on a team. There's no hassle or no fear if the end user can see it, because maybe in your company you don't allow everyone to create teams, but it doesn't matter if they can see it, because I think transparency is important. But then think of it this way. If I'm IT help desk, okay, and someone logs a call, so that's before we start using bots for everything. So someone phones me and says, "Hi, I'm Trace, it's Peter here, and I'm really struggling with this in Teams." Then as part of my first line support, the first thing I do is I open my Teams page and I just go and see, was there any notes made? Yes, or maybe there was a feature that was rolled out and that's having an effect. And then Peter says, "Listen, I just really don't know how to, like, how do I request a new team?" And I'm like, "Hold on." So firstly, I'm going to just whack that URL to Peter in my Microsoft Teams chat as well and say, "Hey, Peter, remember in future, you can go to the page and find information, but let me quickly get you there." So the product manual says, or the digital strategy says that this is how you request a new team, or you know what, there's been a new feature released and I see that it's causing problems, but we'll give feedback or something. So for me, these pages added a lot of value. I helped a lot of companies deploy these pages internally for their digital strategies to help them with their rollouts, but this also helps with training. So you might not have all the training on this, but this might link to the Microsoft 365 learning pathways. So this page helps me bring all those loose ends together: the business governance, the IT governance, the training, how does the support work, and we know how big those documents can get, okay? But I'm sick and tired of Word documents that never ever gets read by people and never gets updated. So I can rather have this portal, and if you go to the landing page of this portal, there's the button for each of the products, and people can say, "Oh, I want to see how does Planner work." Maybe there's a little video from the Planner product evangelist that says, "Hey, Planner is amazing to use for your tasks. We add it to Teams." This definitely works better in bigger companies. In smaller companies, it's difficult because, I mean, who maintains this? For one person to keep this maintained is a full day job. So this, and like, I don't know what you would call it. And I have done a blog about this. So let me just quickly do this and get the, I think that's one of the blogs that I got into trouble for. So governance on Teams. Gee whiz, where's the time already gone? I've not even touched on half of the funnies. I just want to get this blog quickly. So bring governance into your Microsoft team. I'm pretty sure it was this blog. This is the blog where I looked at that template as well. So if you're keen on that, and I'm quite okay if I want to go and share that template maybe at some point. I still owe you guys a template from the previous webinar. I've created it, but I've not shared it. So that's bringing governance into your teams, and this is this governance that I'm talking about. This is much more business and IT governance, but as pages in a SharePoint site. So don't know what you think about that, and if you think that can be useful. I will scan. I just want to quickly look at. It's definitely different if I know Phil's on the call and he's always still looking at Q&As to me. Yeah. Previous version. Yeah, true. Oh, thanks for that, for the GitHub stuff, Phil. Really appreciate that. To see the blog article. Yeah, that's true. So maybe I should write a blog about this and share this template. It was so easy to build, people, because to just give you an idea, I'm super lazy. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's come across. Let me just quickly show you. Once you've defined that template for a product, and remember that could be for OneDrive, for SharePoint, but it could even be for other products that are used in the company. So it could even be for SAP or Sage or whatever. The page sections might just be slightly different, okay? But this becomes your go-to portal for employees to read and find everything. But it should be the central version of the truth, and IT should also use it. So it's really just a guideline. But you know how often it happens that what IT help desk says is different to what the trainers are saying, is different to what the digital strategy is saying. And for me, this becomes a digital strategy of the company. So when I help companies with their Office 365 roadmaps, this is one of the first things that I develop, because this also helps me get them put their decisions on paper, because that's the most difficult thing, to get people to put decisions on paper. I'm like, guys, we have to talk about the team's provisioning. Are we going to allow everyone to, yeah, we don't know, Trace. I'm saying let's build the page and put a decision on the paper. And then once a month, that digital citizen forum comes together and they review the pages and they give input into how they might have to make changes. But that's super important for me. But if I go to that site pages library now, just to kind of give you, and I will, okay, I will, I'll think about, yeah, no, I should do a blog about it. If I go to that Microsoft Teams page, if that's my template page, check how easy this is. I'm going to say copy to. I'm going to say copy here because I'm that lazy. Once it's copied, it's going to have a 1 next to it. I'm going to then go to that page. I'm going to first rename it. I'm going to call this, do I have a SharePoint page yet? No. I'm going to call this SharePoint. So this is my page for SharePoint and how do we deal with SharePoint sites and things. And then if I open that page, of course, it's going to look like the Teams page. I remember that. So the first thing I'm going to do, but normally my template's more empty. So the first thing I'm going to do is just bring in the nice banner with the SharePoint logo. And then I can also edit this page. So then I'm going to go call the SharePoint. And now I can go and say, oh, okay, now I can fill in latest releases. Now I can repoint the links there. Now I can bring a video in that explains to users what SharePoint is, what text is. But once you put the template, people, look at that. It takes a half a second to copy the page and then to just go and fill in the content. So this was definitely one of my go-to things. I've been building these for years. So I don't think Microsoft 365 Learning Pathways replaces it. I think it fits into each other because this speaks to a much bigger thing. This speaks to governance as well. But the nice thing is you can then also always point people to the right place. If someone has a question, you point them to this page. If someone in a help desk asks a question, you point them to this page. So I think that can be a great one. So let's go to the rest of these things. So that was Microsoft Learning Pathways. I just want to close all these pages. So that was Learning Pathways. I think it's pretty cool. But I also want to say, think of building a digital strategy or governance portal, because I think we need to document these things. And we used to put it in documents, and that's boring. It's much easier to do it on a page, but someone needs to maintain it. The nice thing is that you might only change this every month. Once this is put in place, it's like you're just linking to all the resources and you're just making it easier for users because it's difficult for them to find all the resources, okay? Then, so that's your training, okay? So you can have a training portal like that for external training to bring things together. So that was Microsoft 365 Learning Pathways, and that was my digital governance forum or portal that I normally build. If we then look at the training forum for people that are working together as trainers, I think it's very important. So this is above super users, okay? This is your like rock stars. Now, again, it's important for me to add all the resources. So if I'm in a team, people, I would definitely break these up, and I just want to get my one out. I would definitely break these up, the channels for that team, into the most important products though. So I would definitely have a channel for Microsoft Teams. Teams, and I would have one for OneDrive and SharePoint, for example. Then I might have one channel for all the other apps and services. So it depends on how far you want to take this. But then on those specific channels to help your trainers, I would bring those resources in that can make their lives easier. And there's a lot of those. I'm going to show them now, and I'll share all the resources in this chat as well. So one of them is that Teams demo. I just really like that site. I think it's pretty cool. So the Teams demo is a nice thing. That adoption resources as well. So let's start running through that. So this is the Teams demo. So that's just going, oh, what does this do? What does that do? Because remember, we want to super empower our trainers. They've got to, I'm saying trainers and help desk, okay? I'm sorry, IT people have got to be super rock stars now as well. So we can make sure that they can stay up to date and things. So let's take a look at the things that we can then add to this portal to make their lives easier. So I'm going to just run through some of these things. So I've spoken about the learning pathways. I have spoken about that. We're going to talk about the productivity score now in a moment. So for example, I could have a sway. I don't know if it's going to open now, give me grief. Let's just see if it will. Sway's got its own funny methods of doing things, by the way. But you can add sways as well to channels in Teams. So let's just let's see if this allows me to. Yeah, I'll see sway. Interesting. But you can get that sharing link and you can add that to a team as well. I'm not going to spend time on it now. So I can add a sway here as well, which I think is pretty cool. And I add it with a website link. Okay. Then I'm going to just skip sway. I can add a training channel as well. So maybe I've got a channel with training videos in it, or the training teams training videos or something. So I can add channels on tabs on Teams as well, which shows all the videos. So I think that's also a pretty cool thing. I can add a survey as well, like what training do we want, or I can even show the results of surveys. So adding surveys as tabs on the team as well is pretty cool. This was something I showed previously, but this is a site I built about digital literacy. Yeah, I used very illegal hotspots, it's true. But I can even add this as a tab on a team. So I'm just using examples now, but I'm going to be too lazy now to do it through SharePoint because I'm going to have to navigate there for some odd reason. So let's just say digital literacy, but I can just add it through SharePoint as well. It gives me the option to add another SharePoint site if I have. Well, I could have just added, I suppose. I'm being lazy. So I can add like a landing page like this and say, oh, I want to look at what critical thinking and evaluation is, but you'll see it actually because of the hotspots, it takes me to the physical page outside of the Teams, but there's my layout. I just want to close this. Then, so that's other web pages, modern intranet, I'm done with. Nope, nothing there, nothing there. Okay. So what's new in Microsoft 365? This is my like standard things that are very important to me. I'm going to just hoy these in the Q&As again, peeps, in case someone doesn't have the links. I will absolutely add this as a tab in my Teams, because remember again, if I just show you how easy is it to just add it right here and to make it easier for your trainers, because it's much easier. And this is Pro Plus, which by the way has been renamed to Microsoft 365 apps. I'm just still calling it Pro Plus for the fact for separating it. So this is my what's happened in Office 365, but on the Excel, Word, PowerPoint. So this is easier to add it to a team as well because I'm in a Microsoft team. Then, of course, the Microsoft 365 roadmap I would add, and I'm adding them all on the same channel at the moment, where normally I wouldn't add them on the same channel, but I'm just adding them here to show you. So the roadmap. And remember, not everyone, I mean, a lot of us are crazy pants techie people that like eats and loves tech, okay? And I'm like, what? What? We're going to give it a moment to think about that. So, like, sometimes I'll think like, gee whiz, how can people struggle with this? I mean, all the resources is out there. We kind of forget how difficult it is for users because it's chaos out there. I mean, I had like 20 odd websites open there. It's not like you go to one place and everything's there. So I do suppose it's unfair to expect users to just understand that, whether they're trainers or not. So the more you can bring all these resources into one place for them to make it easier, the more we can support them and we can get adoption. And the same goes for your end users, which is why I like those governance pages that brings everything together. Okay, whether it's support, whether it's training, how do I request a tab, blah, blah, blah. Those things work for me. I don't know why this roadmap doesn't want to load, but I'm going to completely ignore it right now. I'm too tired to even pay attention to that. So the 365, oh, I didn't do that. Let me go Control. Who knows what the shortcut is to reopen a tab in a browser? Do you know, Phil? You should know. I'm sure you know. If I close the tab in the browser accidentally and I want to reopen it, anyone know what the shortcut is to that? Let's go for a learning thing. I want to see if someone posts.
I never close any of my browser tabs.
Oh my word, Phil, I should have expected that. So if you accidentally close a tab inside of the browser, Control-Shift-T reopens it. T for Tracy. Don't forget that. Control-Shift-T. Okay, so the 365 roadmap, I'll quickly publish that for you as well. Then another one for me is the Microsoft Tech Community. I mean, people, come on. Gee whiz, I love the tech community, okay? So you can add that as a tab on a team as well, but you can also, based on the specific channel or product, so this one is my SharePoint blog, okay? So in Tech Community, you'll see that blogs are there at the top, and you can then navigate to the specific product. So I keep my eye on these, okay, because they do a very, very cool, I just watched that. They do a very cool pit stop every month, blog, etc. So I would definitely consider if I had a specific channel to SharePoint, because SharePoint, Teams, and OneDrive is big enough for me to have separate channels for them in a training portal. And I'm talking about my internal trainers now, okay? So here I could very easily add that specific blog that people can very quickly consume data here, because man, if you don't have it here in your face, then it becomes quite tricky to actually remember that there is a cool place. What? Jeez, I don't know what's happening there, but I'm going to ignore this, people, because I've added those things so many times. I'm just going to ignore this. It might be my bandwidth or something. You can also very easily add YouTube channels or pages. Now, in Teams, for example, so that's my channel, Shameless Punt. I don't know, I've got a couple of 100 videos in there. So if I look at my channel, so remember, in Teams, I can add a specific YouTube. I correctly remember this. Let's quickly check. That's adding a specific link to a specific video. Okay. I don't think it allows me. I don't think so. Let's quickly test the theory and see if it allows me to add a channel. You see it doesn't. So it wants a specific video. So if I want to add a channel or a playlist, I normally add it as a website link. So I'm going to just say YouTube. If this is again going to give me an error, I'm going to just ignore it, people. Then that's fine. Oh my word, I forgot how to spell. You know, if you snort when you laugh when you're on a webinar, how comfortable you've got in your skin when it comes to. I don't know why it's doing this. I'm going to completely just ignore this, people. I think it's my bandwidth. I think something's gone crappy. Okay. The SharePoint lookbook is definitely a cool one to add as a channel on a team as well. I'm going to completely ignore adding extra channels here. I do think it's my bandwidth. I don't think that's normal. So SharePoint lookbook, I mean, gee whiz, people. This is like so sexy it should be illegal, I promise you. Like this should be a blocked website in companies. That's so sexy. Okay, so there's like really cool things on the SharePoint lookbook, and to inspire your trainers as well, go and add that as a resource. Oops, I promised I would do this. That is the SharePoint lookbook. Then did I paste the Microsoft Tech Community? I did. And then adoption resources. So there's lots of pretty cool adoption resources here. I do refer to this every time, but I do show it every time because I never know if people have actually joined for the first time. This is the second most illegally sexy thing that you've ever going to see, okay, in work time. This lookbook, check this out now. Check what happens when I click that button. It's a little bit slow because a little bit of a delay, but how cool is that? That's so cool. Look at me. I swear you must think I use drugs to still get this excited about tech, but anyway. So it's got little videos in and text things and blah, blah. It's going to help people. Again, grab the URL, go add it to a Microsoft team because I definitely think, let me just go back to page 1. That's the coolest thing I've ever seen. Okay. So that's the adoption resources. I'll just add the plain adoption resources as well. I know I'm pasting a lot of URLs in the questions, but just go grab them. You've got time to go grab them if you're not used to them. Then the standard Microsoft 365 training, and this is similar to what's built into that 365 pathways. Okay, so if you want to just point people straight to this as well, of course you can. I don't know how long this is going to be around because of 365 learning pathways. I don't know, but I do like them. There's nice quick starts and basics that you can learn, and saving time with tips and tricks, and blah, blah, blah. Office web training, collaboration, infographics. Very, very cool. So there's that as well. I would definitely look at it. This is specific to the Teams video, so I just opened that. Of course, you can add my blog as well if you want to. So I don't get paid for it, purely because YouTube can't send me something by post to South Africa. That's the funniest thing ever. So there's that governance thing. I don't think I did post that for you. Let me just check. I did post the governance post for you. Then of course the customer feedback as well. But talking about that, most of the feedback these days you can actually find in the apps and services. So if I look at PowerPoint, if I go to help, you'll show that there's feedback, show training, what's new inside of PowerPoint. And the same goes for Teams. I just don't know how the web client looks now. Oh, where's my browser? Same goes for Teams. There we go. Topics, training, what's new, suggest a feature. So most of the apps have the feature requests and things built in now. I have to admit, I've always struggled with this user voice. It's a little bit demakar for me. Okay, demakar being, gee whiz, what's the direct translation for demakar in English? Upside down, smarty box, man. It's chaos. So I prefer using this one straight out of the app. So for Teams, I go straight to the Teams feedback because that's more focused for me. So I just go straight to the feedback in Teams. First go and see, has it been logged yet? Because if it has, then vote for it. The more people vote for something, the more the chances are that we'll get it. If not, then go log it. And if you've logged it, take the URL and share it everywhere. Share it on your Yammer, share it on Twitter, share it on LinkedIn, share it on Facebook. Say, hey guys, if you like the idea of this feature being installed in Teams, please vote for it, because the more people vote for it, the more attention it gets. So user voice, I think, is pretty cool. But I'm using the feature straight out of the apps, I think is pretty cool. So let's quickly spend a couple of minutes just on the productivity score. So that was something that was launched last year, and it's definitely still, according to me, in preview mode, okay? So the productivity score is about tracking or measuring habits in your company or how things are happening, and I think that can be used quite well to change cultures. So if I look at the productivity score, it's going to tell me how many people are still attaching files on emails, okay? Because then you've got a measurable thing. And remember, I've got a huge thing that there's a difference between adoption and consumption. Because yes, we can say that we've got 100% consumption on OneDrive, but have people actually adopted it? Have they actually using it right? So the productivity score, I think, is pretty cool. I think you can still sign up for the preview. Can you, or has it been launched? Do you know, Phil? Has this gone? Because we signed up for the preview, so I wonder if that's been opened up for everyone. I can't remember now.
Not yet.
As far as I know. Okay. Well, there's the article to the productivity score. Then once it's well, back then when I asked to have it, so I don't know if it's now available for everyone. But then once you have it, you can see it in the admin. If I go to reports and I go to productivity score, this is where productivity scores. You need to be a global admin, which is pretty sad. I can't publish it somewhere else. So you're going to have to nag the global admin to make your screenshots once a month to use for your little report of adapting or something. So there's certain areas that it's tracking. So if I go back to the productivity score, there's certain areas that it's tracking, and it's got a benchmark that it uses, but it actually tells you how do we calculate the peer benchmarks, how do we calculate your score. So it compares you to a company of your industry and of your size, and then says what's your scoring next to other companies. Please remember that's my score, but it's only me and a sheep in the company, and he does absolutely zero. So imagine how that affects my score. But if you look at this, how it then breaks up the productivity scores is it looks at communication, content collaboration, mobility. It looks at endpoint and analytics, which for me it doesn't pull through, and then network connectivity as well. And you can then go into any of these areas and kind of see what your measurement is. I think that this is a good report to look at on a monthly basis, because this is something that you want to work at improving, because you might say, man, I want my content collaboration to be higher or something. So we have given a lot of feedback on that. I'd love to see this per department or per group or something so that you can actually start some gamification on this. But I do think it's a good start. So if I go to communication, for example, it then breaks up and says 67% of the people in your org uses more than one mode to communicate. I can bet you that I'm that 67%. And Brahm is 33%, okay? Brahm, my sheep. In case you don't know, it's a sheep, it's a doll. So it's saying that how do we communicate? What forms do we use to communicate with? What is the stats? How many people use at mentions in their email? That's pathetic because I'm pretty sure I do use it, but it's most probably only tracking it internal. Internal, I don't use it. Then how many people uses Teams and channels, blah, blah, blah. What's the next step? And on all of these, you can normally go and click and read some information about, hey, how can we make this better? Or where's an article that I can share with my users? So if I look at content collaboration, again, it looks at things like how many people create files in OneDrive, how many people share, that's funny, share physical attachments on emails, how many people collaborate on 4 or more on Office files. So that's quite nice benchmarks. And what you'll have to do is you're going to have to beg your global admin to kind of like just make screenshots for you. So I just like quickly, I think I loaded it. Yeah, let's see if I did. I just loaded a PDF here because then at least you can share it with different groups as well. You're going to have to make screenshots of it, but you might be able to do a nice little report to say that this was the score for July, or we measure this every week to see how it changes, or maybe you can try and get that data out so that you can build a different Power BI report on it, because it would be nice if other people could have access to it as well. I think it's pretty nifty. So all of these gives you a little, how can I do this? How can I get more of that? So for example, I think on the comms one, you'll see even here, use questions and answers in a Yammer community. That was quite cool. So I actually looked at that, and it gives you a nice article that you can go and check out. So then it gives you an idea. So it's not just about telling you like, hey, you're not using it right. It's also like, hey, here's some cool ideas, some things you can use to actually use it better. Now, peeps, that's brought me to the end of my craziness for tonight. I can't think of anything else. I'm pretty sure there's loads of things that I've... Thank you so much for everyone enjoyed. I really enjoy this. This just brings me close to everyone again. So I really enjoy this. I hope you get benefit and added value from this. Phil, thank you for being on the call with me. I always appreciate it. I will publish the recording. Sometimes it takes me a week. Sometimes it takes me a day. So maybe if I'm a good girl, I'll publish it again tomorrow. But just have a look out on Twitter and I'll publish it. I've not come up with my next webinar's idea yet, so I'll think about it. But stay awesome and have a nice evening and take care of yourselves. Thanks, Phil, for joining me. It's always nice having you around.